Hello, everybody. Welcome to Engaged Citizens. Hey, I'm your host, Sherry Ryan, and I am joined today with Nick Sorber, who is the candidate for Port of Columbia County, Position 3. And welcome, Nick.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so glad to have you. Thank you for taking the time to meet. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a lifelong resident of Columbia County here, father of three, um, local Little League president. Um, I'm a regional representative for Masters Mason Pilots right now. Prior to that, I started guiding in Alaska when I was 15 in the summers and transitioned to working on tugboats. And worked on tugs for roughly 14-ish years or so, give or take a little bit. Was a captain on tugs, and yeah, that's kind of a short and sweet bio there, I guess.
You've been on the water a long time.
Yeah, my whole life. Yeah, that's all I've
Your
done.
whole life. I mean, since you were 15. Oh my gosh. So why are you running for the Port of Columbia County? Like, can you tell us a little bit what your desire was to run for this and why you want to be involved in that?
Yeah, so kind of one of my biggest desires is to bring some good good jobs to Columbia County, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
port has roughly over, give or take, don't quote me to the exact here, but over 2,500 acres of prime real estate property for a business to come in here.
Okay.
And currently, right now, our biggest employers in a lot of these communities are the school districts, and
Mm,
that's tough. You know what I mean? That's a very tough thing to overcome budget wise, and I would love to see some decent businesses come on out to Columbia County, so we're not this bedroom community or a quote unquote Motel 6 for Portland right now, because it's just it's hard. I mean, some of our bigger employers are Walmart, and those aren't great jobs. I mean, and I'm not knocking Walmart, but I mean, I don't think they would argue me. So I mean,
and like
Cascade is
yeah, you've
what's that?
written, you're like higher paying jobs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and we have to have it. I mean, and a
Yeah,
lot of our issues right now. Sorry to adjust my screen there.
no worries.
We're always seeing stuff, people, the county asking for levies for the sheriff's department or for this or for that. And these bigger businesses provide those taxes to where we don't have to worry about that stuff as the public so much.
Okay.
That's kind of it. I mean, and we just need solid jobs out here in Columbia County.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I'm going to bounce around here a little bit, but
Hmm.
as the port commissioner, I mean, that's kind of your job, right? Your fiduciary
Yeah.
responsibility is to bring businesses to those port properties.
Okay. That's what
Yeah.
a port commissioner does.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
you want to oversee the port properties and do the best analysis you can, the safest analysis to bring
Hmm.
solid business out here, whether that be tourism or businesses, at the airport out here. We have the McNulty Creek complex there's quite a bit going on. I think, and it's unless you really knew and looked on a map and seen what the port controlled. I mean, it's hard for the general public to really know what that is, right? I mean, but there's a lot of opportunities in Columbia County, definitely.
Is there a place where people can go to, like you just said, it's hard to know what the port, covers or what, opportunities are.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Well, a port meeting would be a great place, obviously, but the port office, I'm sure, would be more than happy to, say what, it's public knowledge that you could go in. So,
Okay. Okay. And so that is a big part of being a port commissioner is looking for those jobs, bringing those. I've been looking this up because I can't be an expert in every position that is in our community,
sure,
but I've been looking, what does a port commissioner do and setting port policies, working with the different laws, working with the different ordinances and statutes for our community, and then determining program direction,
absolutely.
setting long-term and short-term goals and improving those, budgets, right?
Yeah,
Um,
and oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, no. And so what would be, some of your kind of in your vision where you're looking and what you've kind of like, nobody runs without a vision, right? You're like, I want to run, I want to be a part, I want to get in the
Right.
game, right? What are some of your like short-term, long-term goals in being a port commissioner?
Well, so obviously, if I did get elected, let's say that happened,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff on the docket there. You go to meetings. Yeah, Goose Bay is a big one right now, right? Because that's one of our biggest tourist attractions. Got a lot of kayakers coming out there. I think that's great. They're trying to figure out how to accommodate the power boaters and the kayakers, you know. So we have that kind of going on. That's been being talked about a lot. Looking for grants for that. A lot of 24/7 maintenance, right? Scappoose Bay, you're going to be dredging that consistently. How are we going to pay for dredging? May have to up rates to accommodate that launch. You just don't know, right? I mean, that's one good thing. You're going to be working with 5 other commissioners on that board, and you're all going to work together to make the most, you know, the best decision you can for the community. That's your job. So that's if that answers your question.
Yeah, totally. Totally does. Um, what are some of, you've been attending meetings, for the past few years of the port commissioners. What are
Mhm.
some things that you observe,
Yeah, it seems like everybody's they have a great staff in there.
Mm-hmm.
The director's great. Everybody seems to get along pretty well in there, and they're doing their best. I know there's a few projects, the Through the Fence project. I don't know how up you are on that, but
Mm-mm.
they're looking at. So they developed a lot of the property around the Scappoose Airport.
Okay.
They're trying to make it so businesses can land and wheel up to their facility through the airport. That's why it's
Oh,
called the
okay.
Through the Fence project.
Okay.
Uh, so I don't know that there's any suitors quite yet, excuse me, for that, but
Okay.
that's an option. A lot of the port,
Mhm.
to my knowledge, the airport generates a lot of its money from landings and fuelings of planes there, right? So
Okay.
obviously we want to make that attractive, right, for businesses to come out here and do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, if you really get to looking around again without a map in front of us, I mean, we could point at stuff all day long and say, well, what's
Yeah.
going on here? Because there's quite a bit of stuff out here in the facility, and the more time goes on and the more people are moving out to Columbia County, I mean, the more
Mhm.
businesses are going to be looking to do business out here. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I have a question for you because I haven't heard much about this from different elected representatives that are already in. Okay.
mhm.
And so this is kind of where, it has to do with the port and it has to do with developing the port. And what do you think of Next Renewables? What do you think of that project? That's down in Clatskanie, Fort Westward. What
Yeah,
do you think of that?
yeah, I know quite a bit about it actually.
Okay.
Well, it's a green diesel project, right? I
Yep.
mean, that's supported by both parties, right? I mean, so everybody knows that. I would assume everybody wouldn't argue this is green diesel is kind of your next step away from fossil fuels until an electric grid comes up to. I mean, everybody wants electric, and in certain applications, it's great. It just as far as trucking and tugboats and planes, and we're a long ways away from that. And in my lifetime, is it going to happen? Sure, absolutely. But right now, green diesel is a great step, and I think everybody wants that. I would assume. I'll just jump right into the next fiery topic here because I know it's going to come up because that's everybody wants to know is the train situation, right? Everybody is talking about the trains in Columbia
Yep.
County and it's
Yep.
an inconvenience, right? I get it.
Yeah.
Um, and that's going to be very much dovetailed into the next project because there's already an ethanol plant out there. I
Yeah.
don't even know how much, I don't even want to quote how much product gets moved out of it. I don't think it's done.
Yeah.
But this green diesel project, being that it's called the Beaver Dock facility out there. I don't. Have you been out there at all?
I have not been right up to it, but I've been pretty close to it. And
Okay.
I've talked to the individuals who
Okay.
are, I've interviewed some of the people, Safe Port Westward.
Good.
I've talked to, like the state rep,
Mhm.
Sirius Girardi, just different people who are,
Yeah.
looking into this project.
Yeah. It's very much. It's kind of weird. I brought this up the other day. If we went to Scappoose, I feel like and walk through Fred Meyer's and stop 6 people. A lot of people don't know that's there out there. I mean, it's kind
Yeah,
of this
yeah.
hidden thing, right? Well, it's been there since World War II. We used to load armament stuff there. It's a great deep water port.
Hmm.
Um, I've been on a tugboat. I get to see it from the river, obviously, a lot of that when I was running as a captain on the boats. It's a great facility out there. Now, as far as I'm bouncing around here a little bit, but the next project,
Yeah,
which we could talk about for 2 days, I'm sure. Um,
totally.
um, they very well, nobody really knows. Everybody's assuming they're going to use rail, and we don't know that. I mean, if
Yeah,
you're next, I mean, the smart move would be to use barges and barge it up the river, and it
yeah,
wouldn't wear the highway out. You wouldn't wait for trains. I would sure think, I'm not going to speak on the behalf of Next, but
Yeah.
I'm sure you would sure think that would be a great option. There's a lot of companies on the river. You're moving 3 times the product in half the time, and you wouldn't have to. You could be able to jump through a lot of hoops. There's a tank farm right there in Linton. You'd be able to go from A to B, and it would be out of your hair, right? I mean, from what I know, I'll just keep going on Next if you're okay with that. Are you good
Yeah,
with that? Okay.
totally.
They're they're pledging to use all union labor to build a facility. Those are going to be great middle class jobs. You still there, Sherry? There you are. I lost you. You still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, sorry. So
I
they're
just put
they're
you on the screen so we can
no
hear you and just
no
look at you.
no, no worries, no worries.
Okay.
They're they're looking at somewhere around 300 full time jobs out there. They're going to be $80,000 and up jobs. I mean, those are. I mean, from what I know on it, what I've been reading, I know there's been a lot of talk of this enterprise rezoning, and they're not going to be paying taxes on it, and they have not applied for that. They have not
Okay.
applied for an enterprise, so
Okay.
they're going to be paying full freight, right out of the gate here.
Mhm.
I mean, and
Yeah.
we're talking big money for the community here, and you'll be looking at somewhere around $15.5 million from what I've heard. Now this is what I've heard third hand, of course,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the community. $15.5 million in tax revenue to Columbia County is a big deal,
Yeah.
and 5.5 alone for the port. I mean, I don't need
Okay.
to tell you all this stuff. Our parks departments, our police
Mhm.
department, our school district, which we badly need. I mean,
Mhm.
something like that in the community of Clascanite would change Clascanite's life as
Mhm.
far as existing in Clascanite. I mean, there's not a lot of industry in Clascanite. I mean, there is some, and
Yeah.
Clascanite is
Yeah.
a great community. I mean,
Mhm.
um, I
I
believe,
actually grew up in Clatskanie.
yeah, it's a
I
great
grew up there
community.
on a farm.
Yeah, okay, well then, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great community out there.
Love it
I
there.
love
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I believe the mitigation zone, for every 1 acre, they had to designate 4 in wetland that they
Okay.
use. So I had it actually wrote down. I have to look, but I mean, so as far and the wetlands they have to produce out there right now, there's a poplar tree farm out there.
Mhm.
I wouldn't I think it's a lower class categorized as a lower class wetland out there. I'm not using the correct terminology for that,
Okay.
but
Okay.
and what they're going to make it essentially a park out there, and
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know what more to say about it. I mean, if you
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
jobs in your community and you want tax base and you want nice schools and you want a great police department and you want people, you have to have these businesses to pay, taxes. So you have things out here like that. And
Yeah.
if you don't have it, and I don't know what to say, you're
Yeah.
gonna have to seek elsewhere for it, and it's tough, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's
Well,
just what it is.
you put it in a great way. Like you're talking like this is the reality of it, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Basically. Yeah.
it, it's a green diesel project. It's made of,
Yeah.
I believe it's made out of animal tallow and plant
Mhm.
extracts. There's a lot of different ways to make it. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. This is the best, and I believe United Airlines has already bought into this and sponsored a ton of money for it. This is a great thing. I don't. I know there's a lot of naysayers on it. I
Well,
don't get it.
can I tell you what some of the naysayers might say?
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
they've talked to me, is that they're concerned that like Next Renewables, they come into a community, they build something, they get it going, and then they leave town and they bail, leaving them kind of people in a lurch. And then the naysayers also just about the environment. If, being so, close and on the river, if we were to have a natural disaster, the implications that that would, put into the river, into our source of food and, etc. So those are
Oh,
where I've talked to those people. I've talked to the people that are for it. I've talked to the people that are against it.
mhm.
I did an interview with Save Port Westward, the individuals who are running that, and with Next Renewables, and they haven't chosen to do an interview. But yeah, just getting down to the brass tacks, like getting down to what does this look like, and doing that like, the cost and analysis, or, the benefits, and, what does that bring to this community, and what are the,
Right.
the pros and cons, right?
So I guess my answer to that is about the companies coming in and leaving, right? I'm
Yeah,
sure. Okay.
yeah,
Any company can do that.
yeah,
Boise Cascade did that. All
yeah,
these companies
yeah,
do that, right? They're a business.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
but let's just say for the sake of argument, they're here for 40 years. How
yeah,
many people are going to retire out of that plant in 40 years? How many
yeah,
people are, you know, and another thing that bothers me, it doesn't bother me, it's just, I think it's silly. Just because you're a business and you come in somewhere, you can't just willy-nilly come in and put this business here and Sherry and Nick own this business, right? And you can't do whatever you want. You're going to have the
yeah,
EPA, the DEQ. I mean, it's not like this business is here and they're
yeah,
just going to get a run roughshod over everything and dump, pollutants in the river. And
yeah,
there's an ethanol plant there now that
mm-hmm,
has been there a long time. How many
yeah,
incidents have they had? What are we
yeah,
talking about here? I mean, I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know. I just feel like that's somebody throwing something at the wall hoping it sticks because
yeah,
I don't know. And would they feel any different if it was, you know, 5 miles up on a little farther up the river, or is it because
yeah,
it's their own
yeah,
backyard? Is it this? I mean,
yeah,
Boise Cascade was there for years. It employed this whole town. It's gone.
yeah,
Look at it
yeah,
now. I mean,
yeah,
look at our baseball fields. I mean, I get to deal with baseball fields daily, so it's a great analogy for me to use. I mean,
yeah,
we don't have resources right now.
yeah. When
I don't
Trojan,
get it. Yeah.
left, and yeah,
When Trojan, I'm not promoting nuclear power, but we use it, right?
yeah,
When Trojan was running, I believe Rainier was the highest funded school district in the state. Go
wow,
look at it now. Go
yeah.
have a look.
That's
I
why
mean,
they're the CAR bond,
yeah. I
right?
mean, you got to have businesses to run things.
Yeah,
No, everybody would
yeah,
love a coffee shop and a brew pub somewhere to go to, and think that's going to bring in your revenue. And some of those are, I'm not. I love a brew pub, love a coffee shop, but that's
hmm,
not going to be your big tax base.
yeah.
So if you go
Well,
in
thank
thinking
you.
that,
Yeah.
that's not going to
Thank you
work.
so much for spending like that time to really dive into that with me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
And I know that the community does too, of just kind of hearing what your thoughts are and where your thoughts are going with it. You know what I mean? And what they can kind of expect from you. Um just kind of, wrapping this up is like, what is your top three priorities? Like if you just could choose three, what would be your top three priorities for your term? And I know that, is it a 2 or 4 year term?
therefore,
4 year terms. So 4 years, you start getting in there. It takes a while, right, to get going.
yeah.
In any term, as any elected, positions and such. And so, what would you kind of see for your top three for, your first term?
Maximizing port properties, right? They do a pretty
Okay.
good job right now in there, but everything could use improvement. I don't care how good you do something, right? I mean,
Yeah.
advertising port properties and getting solid businesses in these properties. I mean,
Yeah.
we have to have it. I don't, I mean, that's just kind of
Yeah.
what it is. It's and they can be safe, obviously, safe jobs, which we want out here. Clearly, we don't want anything
Yeah.
unsafe. But I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, we need to bring jobs out here. I'd love to. I mean, the big thing on the docket right now, and we would have to deal with it, is the Scappoose Bay project.
Okay.
That needs to be figured out.
Yeah.
A lot of our money, tourism wise, is right there. I think there's something that can be done there.
Yeah.
I'd even consider there. We own the port owns property at the end of Railroad Avenue out there.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
another powerboat launch could potentially put it in there. I think it'd be great to let the kayakers have, because it's such a unique thing right there in Scappoose Bay. It's very still water.
Yeah.
Great for kayakers to run around in there. You could like maybe designate one of those dock sides. Speaking out of turn here, clearly there's a lot of stuff to look at here, but somehow utilizing more of the Scappoose Bay launch for kayakers, and then building another powerboat launch. Since we have that facility, there's already steel piles drove in the ground out there.
Okay.
Um, yeah, a lot of potential there. I mean,
Yeah.
and we got to figure out a happy medium with the community, right? I mean,
Yes.
what people want, and be interested to hear. So those are
One
kind of
of my
my.
those are your top priorities. What, when you just said that about the public, and just how, like, one of the things that a commissioner does is listening to the public.
Yeah,
And one of the ways is for people to go to these meetings, go and, talk about your concerns, talk about your interests, talk about your thoughts and ideas and solutions that you may have for these different, special interests or things that are coming up to the port. And so, you've been really involved in that, and I really just want to say thank you. Just going to meetings, you get informed like about what
Absolutely.
everything about what's going on, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're able then to make a little bit of a better informed decision about what you might talk about, or what you might, email one of the commissioners about, or what you might ask during the public comment or bring up. And so, the biggest goal at Engaged Citizens is literally like being a citizen that is engaged in this stuff, because it brings a lot to the table
Right.
to hear from the public, right?
Really does.
So, yeah, Nick, thank you so much for taking the time to, meet with me and share with our community your priorities and your concerns and different things that you see going into this. And I wish you the best of luck.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. Take care, Nick. Bye
Yep.
bye.
Have a good one. Bye.